Welcome to TFL Talking Trucks live show. And in this video, we have Mr. Truck and,
yes,
and Nathan and Andre.
That's right, guys. And today we have a special show for you because you guys are directly involved. Part of which has to do with the fact that we recently did the Gold Winch Award and the Gold Hitch Award. And your opinions were different than ours, which means one of us was wrong and one of us was right. Probably me being right and everybody else being wrong, but we'll go there in a minute.
I can't be.
So Mr. Truck and Mr. Tow are here along with me. And what we wanted to do today is answer your questions after we go over this, because this has to do with a major project that we put together every year with the Gold Hitch Award and the Gold Winch Award. And for those of you who are not aware of what we do, we test vehicles to the absolute extreme with towing, off-roading, hauling, you name it. And we put together this award. We've been doing it how many years, Andre?
6 years.
6 years. And it's a lot of work, but it's also the toughest towing contest out there. And it's one of the hardest. I didn't say anything wrong, Andre.
No. Brett Harris says, Andre, put away the bat.
If you don't talk about Andre's family in a negative way, and he'll put the bat away, I promise.
Okay.
Is that what happened with Roman?
I know, seriously. I didn't even go there. It was Roman. Anyway, the point is that this awards ceremony that we put together was a lot of work, mostly by these two guys. And after we posted that, we then put up a poll for you guys to choose your favorites. And here's the interesting part. First of all, over 60,000 people participated, which is insane. That's a lot of people. Kind of indicates how popular these two losers are. But also, it also shows that you guys have a contrary opinion to ours, and I love it. I think it's great. So I wanted to get to these, and I wanted you guys to give us your impression of these answers. You guys ready?
Yeah, basically this is 4 categories, right, dude, for our Gold Hitch.
That's right. Go for it. What categories?
So let's start with let's just quickly name them. And then, Nathan, if you could kind of lead us through, what the people said.
Yep.
And then we'll say like what we decided and what we voted for. So the categories are best off-road midsize truck, best half-ton diesel truck, best heavy-duty off-road truck, and of course the big dually diesel of the year.
Yep, that's right. So let's get started with that right away. So let's start with the best midsize off-road pickup truck. This is what we selected. Andre, drum roll. It's not much of a surprise. We selected
Jeep Gladiator.
Yeah, the Gladiator. Let me tell you what you guys selected. According to our poll, 29% of you like the Chevy Colorado ZR2/Bison. 29% of you. 22% of you selected the Ford Ranger FX4. And only 21% of you selected the Jeep Gladiator. 3% selected the Nissan Frontier, and 24% of you selected the Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro. So in order, it would be Chevy Colorado, Toyota Tacoma, Ford Ranger, Jeep Gladiator, Nissan Frontier. Those weren't the results that we came up with, are they?
Colorado was my second choice. I thought that was really a great truck. It just, you guys had that RTI or whatever that thing was, and a lot of them didn't do very good on that scaling thing that you did for measuring, the angle and all those different things. And I think that included the slowest drag race in the world or whatever it was. Maybe that was just on the other class, but yeah, it seemed like the numbers pointed toward the Gladiator.
It did, and not just the numbers, but from my perspective, the Gladiator, Rubicon, and specifically, we're not talking about like the base Gladiator, but specifically the Rubicon and to some extent the Mojave, the new truck. It was just, super capable on our off-road trails. So we took it on the ironclads. Stephen Elmer, our off-road expert, He took them in the mud in Canada. And what I loved about the Gladiator, just more than what it's capable of, is also top off, doors off, just adventure.
You like anything that takes their top off, Andre. That's just how it works.
Hell yeah.
There you go. The thing is with the Bison and the ZR2, first of all, the Bison is amazing, but it's really expensive as well. But we can't forget, the Gladiator Rubicon is incredibly expensive. And I think that some of our viewers really dislike that fact. I mean, it is the most expensive vehicle on this list amongst the midsize off-roaders, right?
Yeah.
Personally speaking, the only thing I see as a benefit, yeah, the doors and the top coming off are cool, but it's the disconnecting front sway bar and the extra articulation that really sets it apart. Because if you think about it, the Chevy Colorado, you can hook up the front diff. You can hook up the rear diff. You know what I mean? You've got all of that capability. So it's ground clearance that went up against it, and it's not quite as flexible in terms of suspension articulation. But it's also not as long as the Gladiators. The Gladiator's incredibly long, and that might be one of its issues. So I don't know what you guys think out there. Well, I do, actually. You guys apparently think the Chevy Colorado won, so.
Yeah, and I was surprised that the people voted, you guys voted, and you voted for the Gladiator as the fourth truck.
Wow, fourth.
Yeah, fourth.
I was pretty surprised. Mr. Truck, we have a question from Dan Atkinson in the chat room here. He says, will there ever be a best midsize towing award? What about towing?
Well, midsize, yeah, that's the smallest category we have until they come out with the new little mini trucks again. But they're not the big trucks you think of for towing. So, they do well off-roading. They do a lot of economy things that are interesting, and it's a size you can park at Walmart. But I don't know. I mean, we could, but when you kind of top out at 7,000, 7,700 pounds, 7,500 pounds, I don't know. I mean, that just doesn't seem like a towing class. But if the people, if 60,000 of them vote for that, we probably will put that class in, I would imagine.
Yeah, well, so what we've done in the past, this is the 6th year of the Gold Hitch and the Gold Winch Awards. What we've done in the past, well, first of all, we've towed with all of these mid-sized trucks in the past as well. And also, we had a special category, I believe it was either 16 or 2017, when the new Colorado and Canyon diesels were out for the first time. And we actually combined them, and we actually did all those awards. And if I remember correctly, the GMC Canyon was one of the winners.
It was one of the trucks of the year, wasn't it?
Yeah, and
yeah, I think it was. Yeah, it won big, and we did that during deliberations. I was talking about towing with the Gladiator, and at 7,000 pounds, I was impressed by it. So it wasn't a complete category, but we did talk about towing with these trucks.
Yeah, because a truck has to do everything, right? Not just one thing.
Maybe next year we'll tow with the off-road trucks too, just to further beat them up. What do you say, Andre?
Heck yeah.
We need to get the Honda Ridgeline in that category too.
We're going to leave the Honda Ridgeline out of this for now. Okay, let's move on to the next one, which is the best towing half-ton diesel. And
Yes.
guys, for those of you who don't know, we now have 3 competitors in this segment. For a while, for a long time, it's been the Ram half-ton with the 3-liter V6 diesel. Then Ford came along with their diesel, which is also a 3-liter. And now General Motors is competing with the straight 6 diesel. And we all unanimously selected the 2020 Chevy Silverado with the 3-liter diesel as the winner. However, you guys didn't. Nope. You guys selected 40% of you said the Ford F-150 with the 3-liter Power Stroke. 39% of you said the Chevy Silverado with the 3-liter Duramax. And 22% of you said the Ram 1500 with the 3-liter EcoDiesel V6.
Wow.
Different numbers than ours.
Well, how many you voters out there have actually driven a Ford diesel with a trailer on the back of that 3-liter? Huh? How many? How many?
You tell them.
That's a good
We've had so many bad experiences with that and disappointments with that. But I mean, if you guys have all been driving those trucks, I mean, I understand if that's your opinion, but really, you guys been driving those 150s with the diesel?
I think
I'm not going to assume that there's a lot of Ford fans out there, not as many General Motors fans out there. That would be unfair to say. But I will say this, in terms of numbers and everything we did with those trucks, and once again, this is based on numbers for me at least. The Chevy Silverado was faster, was easier to drive, and I believe it was more efficient. Am I correct, Andre?
Yeah,
absolutely, yeah.
less fuel mileage.
I mean, guys, that's we get a lot of those based on numbers. So it's interesting that you guys, and it's only, a few percentage points difference between this one and the Ford, but it's still interesting to see that you guys found the Ford as the winner. And apparently not many people really love the Ram by much of a majority, only 22% of you. You know what the real shame is, guys? The real shame is that we just don't have a fourth competitor. I would love a tiebreaker. Could you imagine if Nissan or Toyota really did come in with a half-ton diesel?
Well,
I don't think it'll ever happen.
Well, yeah,
Nissan
they are. They are in
had diesel.
2055. They're going to have one.
By 2055?
2055, yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be a hydrogen-powered silkworm truck or something. It's going to be weird.
Dude, Nissan discontinued their 5-liter.
Yes.
What can we do?
Boo, boo.
I think we can all
They're
agree
coming
that
back.
that's a missed opportunity for everybody. Okay, let's get to one of my favorite segments, the heavy-duty off-roaders. Okay, now these are the big bad boys, and we do have 3 competitors. Yeah, so this time I do agree with what everybody said, but it doesn't agree with what we all voted. Ready? All right, so for the Gold Winch Award for off-roaders, we had 3 heavy-duty trucks to choose from. We had the Ford Super Duty F-250 Tremor, we had the Ram Power Wagon, and we had the GMC Sierra HD 2500 AT4.
Yep.
All 3 of these trucks are beefy. They're all based on heavy-duty platforms, very capable trucks just in general. But we're talking about off-roading, aren't we? So our choice, we voted not unanimously, by the way.
There were 5 judges. 5 judges.
There were 5 judges, so there's always a tiebreaker. And we said Power Wagon. Believe it or not, I did not vote for the Power Wagon. I voted with you guys this time. So our vote was for the Power Wagon. It won. And, it's really an awesome off-road vehicle, and it does a lot more than the other ones in terms of features because it has a disconnecting front sway bar and true locking front diff and a whole bunch of other toys on it that just makes it a really good overall vehicle. I think we can all agree off-road, it's great. However, I felt that it was long in the tooth, and I voted for what you guys voted for. And Andre's putting on the gloves. He's going to start fighting.
He's got gloves? Wow.
Yeah, look at him. He's putting on gloves. He's ready to fight.
No, wait a minute. This is the first time that Nathan has ever voted against the Power Wagon Don't Care. The first time in the history of mankind you voted against it.
It's actually the second time, technically. So the Ford Super Duty F-250 Tremor got 51% of the vote from you guys.
Huge. Yeah.
And the Ram Power Wagon got 27% of the vote. And the GMC Sierra HD AT4, 23% of the vote. So I voted for the Tremor. My reasoning why, first of all, I love the powertrain. It's a beast off-road. It does almost everything that the Power Wagon can do. But here's the most important reason why I voted for it. You can get a freaking diesel with it. You can't do that with the Power Wagon, and it drives me crazy.
Well, that's kind of a good thing. Listen to Mr. Elmer's view of that. His video on that big heavy diesel and Tremor made it really tough to beat that 7.3 on the off-road course. So I don't know, that big heavy diesel is kind of what Dodge's or Ram has been saying all along. Too heavy, too hard to drive as an off-road truck, but that's Steve's opinion too. But, yeah, did you guys just send this survey to the Ford people or what? What is this? Who did you send the survey to?
The survey was public on our YouTube channel, TFL Truck. And we didn't limit it in any way, so it was out there.
That's right. And bear in mind that, first of all, Steve is in Canada, so we kind of have to keep that in mind, Canadians. And the second thing you have to keep in mind is that my point isn't just the fact that one is better than the other, it's the fact that you have a selection. Also, I mean, towing is a lot better with a diesel. So when you want a vehicle that can go off-road, that can seriously tow, suddenly that diesel makes a lot more sense. So that was sort of my point. Anyway, it's okay. At least I know the people out there agreed with me. And that's what's important, right, guys?
Yeah, and in the chat room, Mike Wolf has a question. He says, what does a diesel have to do with off-roadability?
Well, there's a couple things. There's two major things I look at. I know it's heavier, which is a pain, but you get a lot of torque out of a diesel compared to a gas engine equivalent, right? And the second thing is range. I really like the idea of being able to go at least 100 miles further than I could on a gas engine with the same amount of fuel. So that to me is really important.
And before we continue on this discussion, our Gonzo 98 donated $2.
Thank you.
Yeah. I brought my Yahoo button because Andre now is famous. He's been on the Yahoo channel talking about this TFL Hitch Award. And so I had to do that for you, Andre, but that's for the money too. Appreciate the money, but you've now been Yahooed, Andre.
I appreciate it, Mr. Truck. You also have your chicken behind you.
Yes, he's back here somewhere. Yeah, he's here. His neck is still broken and he's got a hangover, but he's here.
If I only had $1.
Our Gonzo 98 says Power Wagon for life.
Yeah.
Yeah, and guys, I still love the Power Wagon. I'd love to own a Power Wagon, but I look at the numbers and I also try to think of the future and that type of thing. That's why I voted for the Ford.
Yeah. But
let's
really
move on.
Really quickly, before we go on to the last category, diesel makes the truck heavier. So if you compare, for example, in the Tremor diesel version of the truck, and then you compare it to the same version of the truck with a 7.3, there's approximately option for option about 600 pounds difference, maybe plus or minus, right? So that means 600 pounds more on your front axle, right? And I think what Steven was saying, and I felt that too in that event in Arizona where we were testing several of these Ford trucks, is that when you have a heavier truck, it's just, you know, it's just lumbering a little bit more. It doesn't want to like jump up on top of the rock as quickly, you know, so it doesn't make the off-road ability, and also the ride is a little bit stiffer because the springs are heavier.
Right, it sinks into the sand. It's just, you know, all that weight. You're always be pushing in the sand if you're going to sand running with them. Yeah, rocks, I don't know if it's that big a deal, but I think in sand, you really notice it.
Yeah. So those are the trade-offs, right?
Yep, and there are trade-offs, I admit it. But once again, I come back to the same thing, which is give the buyer a choice. So that's why I voted that way once again. Okay.
Well, the Ford doesn't have a disconnecting front end, right? Front axle.
No, they don't have it.
And it doesn't have a winch yet. They talked about a winch, but I haven't seen
no winch. And I think it uses a Torsen front end. Am I right, Andre?
No, it's a limited slip. Dana.
It is a limited slip.
I've asked all the Ford engineers, and we had a long discussion about that. They've never said it was a Torsen. They've always said, Dana, limited slip. So
yeah, there was some confusion about this.
Yeah.
But Mr. Truck made sure, and he got to the bottom of it.
Did you climb underneath it, Kent?
I did. And I read the word limited slip data. That said nothing about torsion, Toysen, whatever that word is.
Okay. Fair enough. Well, nonetheless, let's move on. Speaking of Ford, we're talking about the last one, which is the big boys, the 3500 diesel dualies. And it was a hell of a competition. These guys were the ones who really pulled this one off, towing 30,000 pounds, was it?
Yep.
In blizzards, in the snowstorms. Yeah, all three trucks was in a snowstorm.
Uphill one way. Actually, uphill two ways if you think about it. So this is where our viewers agreed with us, finally. There were three competitors. There was the 2020 Ford F350 SD Power Stroke, the 2020 GMC Sierra HD Duramax, and the 2020 Ram 3500 HD Cummins. And according to our viewers and according to us, the winner was the Ford F350 SD Power Stroke. And rightfully so, it was a beast. They say 48% of them agree that it should have been in the winner. And then it drops down to 26%. It's a tie for second or last between the Duramax and the Cummins. I didn't realize that. That is a tie, isn't it?
It is a tie. Yeah, that was
Crazy.
really interesting in the survey. But Mr. Truck, I mean, Mr. Truck is still the only one of us here on the team with a CDL right now.
Yep.
And Mr. Truck was hauling these trailers up and down every way possible.
Yeah, in a snowstorm, it's kind of sketchy. Your visibility dropped, your braking had dropped, all those things were kind of on the edge. Like what Nathan said, it was a 30,000 pound, 40-foot hotshot trailer. Really cool trailer with that awesome cat, man. It was a cool looking rig we had going on there. We did a lot of playing around with that. It took us, 3 months to finally finish the last one, something like that. It took a long time.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
a rough one. You guys
so-
put a lot of work into it.
Benny B in the chat room asks if Andre still has the Hummer. Yes, I do. I do still have the Hummer H2. It's parked right in my driveway, and I'm gonna do a video update very soon on the big H2. Right now, I'm replacing the head unit stereo radio system, and it's kind of a mess of wires. So I want to clean up the wires just a little bit and then do a video with
Well,
it.
gas is 99 cents a gallon where I live, so you can afford to buy Hummers now. It'd be a comeback. People be asking for them.
Yes.
I want to get
And,
11 miles a gallon on my truck.
And then in 2 years, we'll have an electric Hummer, right?
Yeah.
We'll see about that.
That's gonna be really cool. So we're talking about diesel trucks, right? I had an email question, Nathan,
Go for it.
come through. And this, once again, guys, you're sending us a lot of really great questions. I appreciate it. We're also doing a lot of at-home edition videos where we asked you guys to submit your videos of your truck to us. And you can see it on TFL Classics. There are several classic trucks, older trucks that are there on TFL Truck. We published several videos and we will be doing a few more. And of course on TFL Off-Road, where Steven also has some at-home edition videos from you guys. But this question comes to us from Simon, who has a 2015 Ram 1500 EcoDiesel. And Simon says he just did an emissions recall and the truck is experiencing turbo lag. So he's really wondering what to do. He says, should I do a green diesel ECM update or a Banks tuner? What should he do? Well, this is a tough question. I actually did a video related to this, like a year or two ago, maybe a little bit more than a year ago. And because we wanted to study this issue. And one of the viewers or several viewers responded to that video where we tried to measure the performance of the EcoDiesel after the recall. And they liked the pedal commander tool, which is basically something you plug into your accelerator pedal. It's basically an inline programmer, which adjusts kind of how you brake, not brake, but accelerator pedal feels. So it kind of eliminates some of the lag. And our viewers said it helped them a lot.
Interesting. Well, I mean, we all know that the performance was lost. I heard that the numbers were between 12 and 14% of overall power loss. Does that sound about right?
As far as power loss or fuel efficiency or both?
Overall loss, I think, is what I saw the numbers, but I don't recall exactly what it was referring to.
Yeah. So I mean, we can go over it. I don't want to dig too deep into it again, but so they had the EPA issue, right? And then there's the final resolution was after the class action lawsuit was that if you did reprogram your truck, you can recertify it, right? And FCA and RAM paid money to each owner. And I think it was up to $3,000 each. But after it, there was lag and there was a less fuel efficiency.
Right. Okay, why don't we get on to the next email?
Yeah, really quickly. There's a question came in a while ago from CJ Bowers, and CJ has a Nissan question. He says, first of all, when is the next Frontier going to be unveiled? And a follow-up question, do we think that a Nissan Xterra will come back on a Frontier platform?
2055.
Again?
Yeah. Those guys just play with you. They want to wait till you're so tired of hearing it's coming, that you just give up on it. Then all of a sudden, there it is. So, yeah.
So, Nathan?
Well, we know a couple of things. We do know that the all new truck is supposed to come out within a year. give or take. Right now, because of what's currently going on, that could fluctuate a little bit, but we also know that they're going to be manufacturing it, replacing the current one. They already have the body panels are all stamped out. The molds are ready to go. The vehicle is ready to be built. We know that. That was confirmed by Nissan. What we don't know is the actual date. So we're expecting it within a year, I would say. As for an Xterra, well, the original Xterra was based on the old F-Alpha platform, which underpinned the old Nissan Frontier. Well, technically the one that's currently being driven. Would they put a new one on this platform? You know what the problem is here, guys? You guys aren't buying them. You guys aren't buying on-body SUVs like you used to, but maybe you'll start doing it now that gas is cheaper. So I know Nissan wants to do it. I know that they obviously want to sell more trucks. And the big question is, could they build something that could go head-to-head with not only the new Wrangler, which is what it would have to go up against, but also the new Bronco that's coming out? I think they can do it. Nissan really does know off-roading. They just haven't had a chance to really put it into action. So maybe, just maybe, they'll consider it.
Well, the Frontiers, all parts are built for. How come we don't see them in spy uniforms run around the country testing?
Well,
any of those anywhere?
We haven't seen. That's the thing. There's nothing behind saying that they're coming back. However, overseas, Nissan does build some body-on-frame SUVs. And remember, it's Nissan's partnership kind of is extensive, so they may actually have something else brewing that could work its way over here as well.
Well, the 4Runner is a competition to it too. What's the sales? Is the competition way behind Wrangler? I mean, the 4Runner from Toyota, is that way behind Wrangler, or is it close? Because that's a great vehicle. I love the 4Runner.
Yeah, the 4Runner, it's doing pretty good.
I believe so. They're not that far apart. I think most recently, Jeep is selling about almost like 19,000 Wranglers a month. And I think the 4Runner was like 12 or 13,000 a month. So they're not super far apart. I think the Wrangler still has a lead as far as that category.
Yeah, and that 4Runner still got a 5-speed, so it's kind of old school on a lot of stuff, but it still plugs along as a great machine. So I don't know if Nissan's got the guts to jump in there with a couple of them and fight it out. I don't know. Have you guys seen any Frontier, the new Frontier, anywhere that they're testing?
Yeah, we've seen disguised ones.
You saw one of those? Okay.
So, Mr. Truck, that's you bring up a great question. So I remember like 1 or 2 years ago, we had a few people send us images of like camouflage Frontier trucks, right? And they looked like overseas Navaras, right? So they looked like an overseas Nissan. And then boom, they released their new engine, right? The 3.8 liter in the current body, right? So they probably were testing them in front of our noses, right? And nobody ever noticed.
That's true. Ford did that with that. Was it the Raptor? They brought it out in the 150, that new engine, a bunch of stuff, and it was still in the old body. And they ran Baja with it. We didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, right? But if you're right, Mr. Truck, if they're changing the body style or if they're doing something to the next version of it, the 2021, we must see some other prototypes, right?
Yeah, I would think so by now. You got to test them on the road eventually.
We've seen Mr. Truck ones, which have been on TFL Truck, Andre. There have been some test mules that have been covered with camouflage that are on TFL Truck.
Yeah, but like recently, like within the last couple of months?
Well, not in a couple of months, but in the past couple of years. I think that they already nailed down their design about 2 years ago. And by the way, they officially went on record to say that it wouldn't look like the Narva. It was its own truck. That was what they said.
Mr. Truck, get your chicken ready. Get your chicken ready. Andrew Stone donated $5. And Andrew Stone says, can we see a maximum payload run for the midsize and maybe half-ton trucks? Payload is a real issue for folks. Thank you for your videos. Andrew, thank you for your donation.
But you know, what was I going to say about you, Andre? There's something to do with that you know all about. And what is it?
Rebel Rouser.
Yeah, whatever those things were. I forgot the whole thing now. The chicken got me all rattled. But anyway.
Andrew Stone, another $2. Andrew Stone says, an Ike Gauntlet run.
Okay. I think that's a really good idea. I mean, we really should be doing more with Payload. Don't you guys agree?
Well, that's what I thought. It's those mats. Andre loves those big rubber floor mats, throwing them in, throwing them out. He
Oh,
loves
he
that.
loves that. Yeah, I know. That's Mr. Toe for you.
No,
Trader threw them in now. We'll be all excited.
Jamie Alvarez, another $5 donation.
Wow.
Jamie says, Jeep seems to be dragging on their products. Renegade, Cherokee, especially the Grand Cherokee. Seems like things have halted since Sergio's passing. So thank you for the question. Quickly, I want to address Andrew's question really fast. Payload for trucks, especially Heftons and also mid-sizers, we cannot put enough weight into the truck itself to tax it or to slow it down. So we recently did, last year, we did the Ram Rebel Rouser series. Nathan and I, we put 1,000 pounds of firewood into the bed. And then 4 of us or 3 of us got in the truck, and it was still relatively quick. So it's, you can't really slow these new trucks down. The only way to slow them down for sure is to put like 8,000 or 10,000 pounds behind them in the trailer.
Yeah, that's true.
That's one of the items. What's happening with Jeep? So let's quickly touch on this. We actually have a video coming out this weekend on TFL Now where we talk about delays, because as everybody knows, you know, the automotive industry has been delayed by plant closures, shutdowns, virus, etc. But Grand Cherokee, that's been around in the current generation for what? Since the
About a
Stone Age?
decade.
Yeah, I heard it's coming. But yeah.
Yeah, it's coming, but it's been delayed by the shutdown, the new one.
Yeah, and also the Grand Wagoneer, which there have been test mules running around. We've all seen images of them. We know what it is. It's pretty damn obvious. But unfortunately, everything that's supposed to be coming out, everything that's going to be teased, everything that's going to be at a show or at a press event, it's all getting pushed back a little bit. I'm hoping it's only a 3-month pushback. That's what I'm hoping personally. But I'm hearing some people say it could be 5 or 6 months.
Mr. Truck, what do you have in your hands?
This book. Andre and I spent forever building this book. We haven't talked about it a long time. Last show, somebody asked us about it. So I went in my elevator to the surface and got this out of one of my drawers. So there it is, Truck Nuts book with me and Andre, man. And there's some boards with Nathan, and I think Roman said something in here. But yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Mr. Truck, I'm really happy that you were able to go to the surface and actually travel up there.
Yeah, we'll put this book in a time capsule or something. That's what we got to do.
So you guys know his elevator can only hold 2 people, so he's not able to get livestock in it yet, but eventually he'll have that.
Oh, I can get a goat in there. Don't worry about that. The goats are fine.
Consider a goat livestock. Okay.
Mr. Truck.
Let's go on to the next one.
Yes.
Mr. Truck, I have a question related to the book. You know, in the book, we discuss all the topics about trucks, including old versus new. So this question came in from Douglas Doug. And Doug says his current SUV is experiencing problems. I think he has currently one of the older Tahoe hybrids. Remember those?
Oh, way back when, yeah.
Yeah, so the hybrid is sick and needs a lot of repair. So he is looking for a heavy duty pickup truck. And he says he can have a choice on the dealer lot between a 2019 heavy duty Silverado or a 2020 heavy duty Silverado. Both of them have discounts. He saw $12,000 off on the older model. And he's asking which one to get.
Should he get a gas engine
or the new one?
Is it gas engines he's comparing on the heavy duty Silverado?
He didn't say.
Didn't say?
He said basically old gen versus new gen. That's what he's asking.
Well, you got, bigger cab with the new one and the heavy duties even on Silverado. So that's nice. and the diesel to 10 speed. So that makes a big difference in which way he's going to go. I'm not really happy with where the ball is placed in the bed. Has he got a gooseneck or a bumper puller, or what's he doing?
No, he has
any
an
of that.
SUV right now, so
Oh,
he's
his
not
bumper
going to be
puller.
he's not going to be pulling very heavy, but he likes that heavy duty truck.
Well, the old was a 6-liter with that 410 rear end did fairly well and did fairly well on fuel mileage. Actually, probably better than what we've got now. It's just, you know, it was not a powerhouse by any means. I've got a brother that has one, pulls trailer all over the country, an RV trailer. He's tickled to death with it. But, you know, I mean, you didn't have to have a pretty big price because you're losing a year. So, you know, you're going to have to be able to buy that 2019 for like 5,000 less than a 2020 to even be something I would look at. But yeah, there's a lot of things we got to fill in to get that question answered really well. But, you know, I like that big cab. I mean, you got to like the look of it too. And a lot of people still like the old body style, the way it looks. But it's a whole lot bigger machine. You got a cab that's longer. You got a bed that went from 6'6" to 6'8". The cab, I think, grew 4 inches. So you got to park it clear in the back of the Walmart lot. You're never going to get it backed out again. So, you know, yeah, I don't know. I have a hard time not buying the newest model of something if it's the right price. But, you know, if you can steal the 19, then, you know, you can steal the 19.
Nathan, can you weigh on this? 2 questions. First of all, Mr. Scott says, if you were a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, which one would you be?
Oh, Donatello. Donnie, without a doubt.
Donnie. And second question, old versus new, 19 or 20?
20. I'd go for the new one because I find that the new powertrain is a lot smoother for daily driving. And a majority of the people who are asking a question like that, especially going from an SUV to a truck, they're going to be driving on city streets. They didn't ask about hardcore towing. They didn't ask about off-roading or anything like that. You want the vehicle that is the smoothest to drive around town as a commuter. That 10-speed automatic transmission is very smooth.
Yeah, and the diesel. Now, Andre, you can back me up on this. On these heavy duties, 2020, they used to be known for being smooth and the best steering. 2020 are the roughest ride trucks I've been in. It's like the old power wagons from the 70s. And we noticed that pulling big trailers and empty. You know, we went through all those bumps to pick up that cap. And I don't know what's if it's a wheelbase, if it's a frame issue, what it is, but I've never seen Chevy get that crazy as far as bouncing all over the place. But what did you think, Andre? I mean, that's kind of what we did when we pulled the bigger trailers. Mm-hmm. But I noticed a big difference in that 20, and I don't know why.
So the difference I felt, especially when we were doing the dually diesel, the GMC dually had kind of a rough riding ride, but we maxed it out on Payload also. But I've had really good experiences in other new 2020 GM heavy duty trucks. So I'm talking about, I drove a Silverado heavy duty diesel from Oregon to Denver, 1,000 miles. It felt really strong. I was running empty.
Yeah, that was the AT4, right? That off-road one, or?
Yeah, that was a Silverado Z71, and then Roman drove an AT4 from here to Moab, and he liked it. Yeah. So I think what was happening there was the dually, like fully loaded dually, just behaved not so well. It didn't behave well. But the other ones we've tested behaved very well. So I think it was a trade-off there.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, the experience I had with that LT, that 2500, that had the gas engine, or it was that last LT we had, that one rode rough to me. But
yeah, we have another donation.
We'll drive both trucks. You tell us which one rode better, and then you'll know. But
yeah, and my answer is new. Go 2020. You can still get a deal on a 2020 right now. I think if you call the dealer, and most dealers are working on the phone now, right? You don't have to go there if you don't have to. I would say get a deal on the 2020 truck, unless you really hate the styling. That's about it. Yeah. M. Jones just donated $2 Canadian. Chicken?
Oh, you want the chicken and moose? Well, you really picky today.
That's great. M. Jones says, have you considered running viewers' trucks up the Ike Gauntlet? Yes. We have considered it. We have considered it every week. I've been thinking about it. There's a one big issue, and it's liability and
Yeah,
safety.
yeah, big time.
Yeah, that's a big issue because let's say you have a really cool truck like a 1991, I don't know, GMC, 1 ton, or a nice, older Cummins or something else, and we go on the Ike Gauntlet. Let's say you're driving. Let's say the owner is driving it, but something bad happens. We have a flat tire. Somebody jumps out in front of the truck. How do we deal with that? So those are big problems. So we don't. That's why we haven't done it.
And we're not going to either. The idea of litigation is scary enough, but we also don't want to risk your lives or your property, guys. And that's kind of where it falls down to. There are other things where we do enjoy using your vehicles, especially with the current thing that we're doing where we're asking you guys to do a walk around with your vehicle and then send it in to us. And then we put it together, edit it, and put it out there as a review. But when it comes to doing something like this, believe it or not, the Ike Gauntlet is inherently dangerous. And people have been doing it for a long time now, and we still have close calls. So we just don't want to put you or your vehicle in danger.
Yes, Dan Atkinson says he's going to bring his semi-truck, he's going to sign a waiver, and he's going to run the Ike.
Dan is a different story. Dan is a different story because he is a professional truck driver. He's somebody who's connected to TFL. So I'm willing to give him a go as long as Roman is and everybody else is willing to see him sign the waiver. And he has to bring his Ford Ranger as collateral, put it on the back of his truck. I drive the Ranger while he drives his big truck, and I get to play with the Ranger any way I want.
Yes. That's a good idea. That's definitely true. That Ike is dangerous. You see some of our close calls with all these semis all around you and trying to switch lanes, and you got ice and you got snow, and there's always different weather patterns on each side of the tunnel.
It's a damn tunnel too, yeah.
If you haven't practiced it, you really wouldn't just jump in a truck and go do it. It'd be something you gotta, take your time and see how it works, because it's a you're 7% grade. All those things you see us do. It's like Andre's a professional, so we're okay. But
and soon, one day, when I have 2 weeks off of work, I will finish my CDL training, and one day I will have my license.
You heard it here first, folks.
Yes, Douglas Call just donated $10.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Doug, I hope we answered your question, Doug. That was the old versus new question. So thank you very much. I have one more question here, or two more really quickly from the previous emails. And then, of course, we'll get to your chat room as well, and all the questions you have there. Nathan, this is kind of in yours and ours court. Jason Nepper is asking, why haven't you guys done towing reviews with small crossovers like the Jeep Renegade, towing about 1,500 pounds, or a similar vehicle like a Ford Escape, Toyota RAV4, et cetera, et cetera?
Very simple answer. A majority of the time, they do not come to us with tow hitches. The towing package has to be connected to the vehicle via the automaker for us to even consider towing with it. And you'd be surprised how many vehicles that are rated to tow 1,500 to 3,500 pounds do not come to us with tow hitches. Now, some do, and every once in a while we do a towing video, right, Andre? But for the most part, a lot of them don't. So that's the first problem. The second problem is, even if they come with a tow package, I don't know any of them that come with a trailer brake controller. So that can be an issue from time to time, especially with the higher weight vehicles. Another issue is that even if they do come with everything that we want, a setup, wiring, and the proper tow hitch, we don't have the trailer all the time that we need in order to tow with that vehicle. So in other words, sometimes you need a 1,500 pound trailer or a 1,000 pound trailer or whatever. It's not that easy to get. And you also have to keep in mind, how are we going to test it? Are we going to take it up the Ike Gauntlet? Well, we kind of tried that. We even tried that with a very small van, the Ram ProMaster City, which, by the way, did really well with towing. Well, it was not watched by that many people, and it's kind of a bummer. So in order for us to do all these things, everything has to align. We need the right vehicle with the right equipment, we need the right audience, and we need the right trailer.
Yeah. Mr. Truck, do you tow with smaller SUVs sometimes?
You guys have towed my green trailer. We put my side by side in. I'm right under 3,000 pounds. That's where the brake laws come into effect at 3,000 pounds. So I use that on the vehicles that, like the smaller SUVs that I tow with, and even the smaller trucks. And yeah, so you can take that. You guys have used it. You hauled stuff to Moab before. I think you went and rescued Nathan out there one time. You guys had the green trailer or something on the back with that ridge line, but
Oh, we don't talk about that.
we don't talk about that. But yeah, so I've got trailers. I can get you under 3,000 pounds, and you guys know that trailer. So I know we're now 60 miles apart, but we'll figure out something. But yeah, it is. It's not. Yeah, it's. I'm going to pull a 4Runner with it here and a few other things with it, but it's not a real popular thing, pulling trailers. Nathan's right there. But you guys did that Jeep thing. We went all around the world, 50 states, pulling a little tiny trailer. Was that an 800-pound trailer with a Wrangler?
No, it was closer to 1,100, 1,200 pounds once with equipment, even a little bit more. But we used that for about 20 of those states.
Oh. But that
Yeah.
was a little
So
bit of.
first of all, let's quickly mention how the Wrangler towed, right? So the Wrangler, the fuel efficiency went down, huge. It's already a box on wheels, right?
Oh, yeah.
With the trailer, the fuel economy dropped. It was struggling. This was a V6, 3.6 liter. On the way up grades, it wasn't happy. And it gave us like a check engine light once. Nothing was really out of whack. It just gave us a light warning, as if it was saying, no, I don't want to do this. Please don't make me.
Yeah, it was very unhappy towing. Now, granted, it wasn't the best trailer. We actually had, if you guys ever watched Motor Mountain USA, we did this about 5 years ago. All 50 states in a Jeep, highest point in each state that you could drive to. That's what we did. Andre did a lot of this. I got a chance to do a majority of it. It was great. But one of the things about this Jeep that we used, and it was the same Jeep for 49 of the states, is that it towed a Mopar Jeep trailer, which they no longer build, which had the really big tires on it. What were they, 31s? No, 33s. 31s, Andre? They're big tires.
Trailer?
Yeah.
No,
the same size as the one on the Jeep.
No, they were insane. They were almost like Raptor tires. They were like 35s.
They were 35. They're huge. Yeah. So a lot of extra drag. The thing is basically a box, a lot of drag. It didn't have brakes. It was not a very good towing trailer, to be honest with you. And Andre even tried to come up with little fillings around the trailer to keep water from flowing into it when we rain. But he really did. He tried his best, which I give you credit on, even though it didn't work. But the bottom line is this. The Jeep, maybe it'll tow better with the diesel it currently has in it, but unless you're getting a Gladiator, Jeeps just don't tow very well.
Yeah, they're short. You got to get a 4-door Jeep Wrangler, because a 2-door Jeep Wrangler is scary, whipping all over the road trying to hold the trailer.
The 2-door, it has like a 1,500-pound rating. It's the 4-door that has the higher rating, which is what we have. And even that, it didn't do very well.
Yeah.
And we recently did on TFL Truck, I did a video about hitches, kind of talking about all the different weight classes. And Mr. Truck has done many, many videos on hitches on his channel as well. And you can have a small hitch, with your Jeep Renegade, towing what, about 1,000 pound, maybe a small, small little 1-axle trailer, or maybe you're hauling a little tiny sailboat around, right? Or something like that, maybe a jet ski. You can do that if you got the right hitch, right? The right wiring, like we talked about. You could still do all those things. It's just that, it's not going to go up mountains very easily.
We did try an Ike, by the way, with the Jeep Grand Cherokee with the diesel 3-liter V6, and we were towing your boat with it, if I recall. And that had a surge brake on it, so it didn't need the a brake controller, so to speak. But that was taxed pretty heavily doing that Ike, if I recall. It was not happy. But the bottom line is that just we don't have enough of those vehicles with the right equipment to actually test all of them. If we did, if the automakers sent it to us that way, I guarantee you we would be doing more tests. I want to do more tests with those.
Yeah. Dan is asking, is Mr. Truck going to stick around once Andre gets his CDL? Are you
Yeah,
going
man.
somewhere?
Really?
It's not up to me. It's up to you and Roman how that works out. I hope I get to stay around, but that's, I don't know what your plans are. I mean, I'm the hired gun. I don't really get involved in what's inside
So,
story. So you
so
tell me, Andre, is that going to happen? I get the axe and you get your license or what?
yeah, I'm gonna drop you off at a truck stop, and I'm gonna wave goodbye. I'm just gonna head down the highway into the sunset as I just drive away.
All right,
But
both
I
you
know all
guys
your
shut up on
secrets.
that.
I
No,
know.
no, 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 no. Mr. Truck is part of the family and he's part of the team. And don't you guys worry. And Dan, you shut up. That's not very nice.
Right.
Well,
Now
Dan,
I'm
you
gonna have
look
to get
out
my
for
TV
me, Dan.
yelling and piss everybody off. What do you think of that? Now let's move on to the next question, Andre.
Yeah, no, Mr. Truck is not going anywhere unless he says I'm done, because Mr. Truck has over what 5 decades of truck knowledge.
I'd say 6.
Okay. We're not going to talk about his age, okay? But let's just say about 5 decades of really detailed truck and trailer knowledge. And if we don't use Mr. Truck, for help when towing, I think that would be really stupid.
I agree. Let's move on.
Okay, final question comes from Bob. This is an email that we received. And Bob has an issue with an F-150 2011 model crew cab Lariat. It's a pretty nice truck, but he says it's riding kind of rough. It's a four-wheel drive, I believe, has about 80,000 miles. He's done 2 things to it already. He replaced all the shocks. He went pretty high end. He got Bilstein's 6000 series and also Bilstein springs in the front. And then he's got Bilstein shocks, 5000 series in the back, remote reservoir shocks. And he says the front feels okay, but the back does not, still feels too stiff. And he's an older gentleman. He wants a better ride in his truck. It sounds like to me, even though his shocks are really, really good, and he knows about tires, he's thinking about also replacing his tires, maybe getting something a little bit more compliant. But I think his rear leaf springs is maybe what's stopping him.
Well, it's hard to fix. Loaded trucks is easy to make the ride better, but an empty truck is very hard. So that's what he really needs to do. Throw some of those mats of yours in there, Andre. Put some weight in there, calm it down, preload the springs, and it'll improve his ride. And I don't know if he's at maximum air pressure. Sometimes you can go a little lower than that if you're not towing a trailer or heavy loads, and that helps a little bit too. But I would say, put your mother-in-law in the back or something. Find something heavy and put it in the back of your truck.
Yeah, I agree. And fuel right now is very cheap, right? And extra weight in the bed may not affect you, that much. Yes, you'll lose some fuel efficiency, right? If you do put a couple 100 pounds, maybe 300 pounds in the bed. But yeah, ride will improve. But maybe eventually, if you have money, you can replace the rear springs. Maybe go a little softer on the spring.
Yeah, there are softer springs out there. It sounds like you have a partial 4-wheel drive setup if you're doing reservoirs and all that as well in terms of off-roading. So by putting in 300-400 pounds, you're nowhere near your maximum payload. And at the same time, trucks are built to haul. So they are, what is it? Bitch and heat is what you would say, Mr. Truck, when the back end up.
Yeah.
And so that would settle a little bit. I truly believe that helps with ride and handling. I did that in my old Toyota. I added about 150 pounds to the back, really settled down the drive, and I didn't really suffer with fuel economy issues either.
And it's possible too to take the bottom overload out. There's a top overload on camper pack.
Right, you take the bottom one, just
a real short
right.
on the bottom, and that may help in some cases if you don't need the capacity of all those springs. There's a lot of questions you got to figure out for yourself there. But yeah.
Right. Well, yeah, Andre, I think it's about time to start wrapping it up. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm just scanning the chat room, guys. I just want to make sure we addressed most of the really burning questions. So a couple other things. I wanted to talk about some projects we're doing that relates to Bob's question. We recently did the Rebel Rouser shock, changing shocks. The shocks helped, and then the tires kind of counteracted it and took some of the niceness of the shocks away. We were using 35-inch tall Toyo Open Country AT2s. And the AT2 is a little bit more of a stiff sidewall. So we gained a little bit with the shocks on the ride. And then we subtracted it with a stiffer sidewall. So obviously tires matter. You know, which tire you get does matter. And right now we're building up an F-250. It's already in California. It's at Carly Suspension, and they're putting on their high-end, really super customized suspension system. I'm really excited. In about 3 weeks, maybe I'm gonna fly down there. I hope if I'm allowed on a plane, and pick up the truck, you know, get new wheels and tires on it, go get a camper at 4-wheel campers. So we have big plans, and I cannot wait to drive the new Ford with a new suspension. By the way, do you know how much it costs?
How much?
It's so all of the components, it's like over $6,000 for this suspension system.
You
I
put
mean,
that much in that old diesel truck? Holy crap, holy.
no, it's a 2020 F-250, dude.
Oh, it's your new one, it's your new.
Yeah.
I thought you said that old diesel.
There, you nut.
I was thinking, holy cow. You
No,
guys,
we're talking about King off-road shocks,
okay.
remote reservoirs, specially tuned for heavy duty. We're talking about custom springs, front and rear. We're talking about a lift. We're talking about like traction bars, everything. Like this is going to be insane. So we'll be doing a lot more testing. I'm just making sure we didn't miss a lot of like questions.
Andre, what is that truck for? What are we going to do with it?
We're going to go cross country off road.
That's right, baby.
Oh, cool. Well,
So we have a plan of going on Transamerica Trail, which is basically originally created for motorcycles, dirt bikes, off-road adventure bikes. But vehicles can also take this trail. It's a two-track, not a single track. And we're gonna build up a Gladiator, the Jeep we have. Also gonna use a lot of Jeep performance parts, lift, tires, wheels, you know, everything, lights, etc. And then Ford. So it's gonna be a 2-vehicle trip. I'm really excited.
Two different philosophies with those vehicles. So you'll have to stay tuned, but we'll have 2 very different points of view on what overlanding is all about and what you can do with these trucks. So I'm really excited about it. This is my type of thing. So that's why I'm really jazzed about it.
So that suspension on the 250, is that just to jack it up, or is that going to make it right rougher? Because you're going to beat yourself up if it's an old dirt road kind of thing. If you're making it stiffer.
Yeah. So
I'll be able to trim your hair as we go off road. It'll be so stable.
Yes, Mr. Truck. I'll take you across Nevada in this truck, and you'll see. But the idea is this Carly suspension system. It's a leveling kit, so it's about 2.5 inches higher than stock.
Right.
In general, but we're also lifting the back of the truck because we're putting a camper on it, and the camper is going to weigh about 1,800 pounds or so. So the truck is going to settle down. And the idea is for this new F-250, it's going to ride level with the load in the bed.
Well, that's good.
And because this suspension is set up in a way for more articulation, better ride, so it's supposed to be like a heavy-duty Raptor, basically.
Does that have a camper package on it, that 250? Does it have the top overload and the spacer?
It's a custom spring. It's a completely brand new leaf.
Spring. That's back to that guy's question about making that 150, the 2011 ride better. If that's got a max tow package, it may have a spacer between the axle and the springs. If it does, that by itself makes them ride rougher. You know, that's my 150. It's jacked up like he was saying, something in heat. But if it's got that spacer, take that spacer out. If it's got like a 2-inch spacer underneath the leaf springs, between the axle and leaf springs, take it out, because it does jack it up. So when you load it, it levels out, but it makes it ride rough.
Mm-hmm. A couple more questions, like really quick. I know we have a couple minutes only. Who founded TFL Studios? Roman Mica and Tommy Mica. They're our founders and CEOs. What's happening with Jeep Wagoneer and Grand Wagoneer? That's a question from Justin. We hear they're delayed by the shutdowns. but they're still coming, and I'm excited because they're proper frame, body on frame SUVs. So those are going to be very exciting. By the way, really soon, next week, we're publishing another podcast, TFL Talking Trucks. And on our podcast, we interviewed General Motors engineers, specifically about the new Tahoe, Suburban, and also some of their truck plans. So that's going to be really exciting, coming up very soon.
Good.
There's a question about Nathan being a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle.
Donatello, baby.
He looks like Steven Seagal. He's all when he's wrapped up his head, he's ready to kung fu somebody there.
No, okay, it's really cold in my house right now, and all of my wool caps and everything have been put away because I thought winter was over. So I just wanted to wear something other than a baseball cap over my bald head. That's the truth. And my wife won't let me smoke cigars inside, so I got to wait until I go outside to warm up with that, which doesn't make a lot of sense. I think we should wrap it up now, guys, though. I think we've been on it for an hour. You guys, remember, this will turn into a video later on. We will review it and try to answer a few more questions, too.
Yeah, and also next week, we're trying to figure out, we appreciate your support on Super Chat, but we also want to donate all of this money to a charity, a good cause. So we're trying to figure out how to do it logistically, as far as, when you're using your donations here on the show, how to directly send it to like a food bank or something. So stay tuned for that, and we'll be doing a lot of that.
Yeah.
All righty, guys. And we're going to be back Monday with what car or truck should I buy? I believe at the same time, right, Andre?
Yes, 3 o'clock East, Mountain, 5 p.m. Eastern.
Very good. All right, well, take us out on the road, guys. Take care of each other. Stay safe, stay sane, and we'll see you next time.
And on MrTruck.tv, Dan Atkinson will have a new video in the morning.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I cannot wait to see it. Okay.
Cool.
I wonder if Dan is going to take over Mr. Truck Channel one day.
I hope so. I'm getting old. I'm 90 years old. I need somebody to take over.
Okay. Bye, guys.
See you guys.